Yo, UFC Fight Night, Della Maddalena versus Prates. There's straight heat all over this lineup. We got hungry prospects, sketchy matchups, and a couple fights that could flip careers overnight. I'm breaking down the full card, best picks, safest plays, and where things could get real messy. No fluff, just real fight talk. Let's get into it. Cody Steele versus Dom Mar. Fan got the size edge, taller, longer reach. That's huge at lightweight. He'll stay on the outside, pump the jab, mix in kicks, and make it hard for Steele to close distance. Steele's a grappler with real power, but his last UFC fight exposed him. Low accuracy, shaky defense, and takedowns just weren't there. If he can't wrestle, he's in trouble. Fan is hot right now, 5-fight win streak, fighting at home in Perth. Crowd behind him, confidence high. Steele's coming off a loss and needs a bounce back, but this ain't an easy spot. How it plays out most likely stays on the feet. Fan controls range, racks up volume, and avoids the grappling. Pick Fan by decision, McAuliffe versus Garimbo. Pretty even size, but McAuliffe's way younger, and that gas tank shows. He's 2-0 in the UFC, on a streak and fighting at home. Dude sharp, mixes striking and subs, and keeps it clean. Garimbo, strong grappler, real physical, but he's 35 and on a 2-fight skid. If he can't wrestle early, it's going to be a long night. How it plays out. McAuliffe keeps range, stuffs takedowns, outworks him over 3 rounds. Pick McAuliffe by decision. Young prospect versus aging vet, pretty clear spot. Johnston versus Schultz. Johnston's huge for the weight class. Tall, rangy, clean striking, plus slick subs. On a finish streak and fighting at home. Big momentum. Johnston fights smart, keeps range, uses knees, kicks, and if it hits the ground, he's just as dangerous with subs. Schultz is dangerous early, sure, but his striking defense is sus, and he just got flatlined in his debut. That's a red flag. If Schultz can't get it down quick, he's eating shots all night. Johnston controls range and takes over. Pick Johnston gets it done. Late finish or clear decision. Thickness versus Morales, same size, but completely different momentum. Thickness is young, sharp, and leveling up every fight. He's got the speed, better output, and he's fighting at home. Big energy boost. Morales is tough, no doubt, but he's 35 on a 3-fight skid and keeps losing close decisions. He hangs in there, but doesn't do enough to win rounds anymore. Morales makes it gritty early, tries to slow it down, but Thickness's pace and volume take over. Pick Thickness by decision. All right, next up at middleweight, we've got Australia's own Jacob Mamba Malkoun taking on the submission specialist Gerald GM3 Meerschaert. Malkoun is 30 years old, riding a 2-fight win streak and fighting in front of his home crowd here in Perth. He's got slick wrestling, heavy chain grappling, and solid striking accuracy. The guy grinds you down and controls the fight. On the other side, Meerschaert is a 38-year-old veteran with one of the sickest submission games in the division, 29 career subs and a ton of experience. But he's on a 4-fight losing streak, and Father Time is catching up fast. This is a classic matchup. Young, hungry home fighter with elite grappling against an old-school submission wizard who's dangerous until the final bell. I see Malkoun using his wrestling to stuff GM3 against the cage, wear him out, and take a clear decision, but never sleep on Meerschaert. One mistake on the ground and it's lights out with a nasty choke. My pick, Malkoun, probably by unanimous decision. Next up, at light heavyweight, we've got New Zealand's junior, the juggernaut Tafa, going up against the massive Brazilian Kevin Christian right here in Perth. Tafa is 29, 6 feet 3 inches with legit kickboxing power and heavy hands. He's a knockout artist, but he's been on a rough skid lately with a 2-5 UFC record. Still, fighting close to home in Australia, the crowd's going to be loud for him. On the other side, Kevin Christian is a freak athlete, 6 feet 7 inches with an 80-inch reach. The dude's 9-3 overall, finishes most of his fights, and brings serious height and length to the division. He got submitted quick in his UFC debut, so he's hungry for that first octagon win. This is a classic striker versus tall, long submission threat. Tafa wants to close the distance and bomb away with those heavy shots. Christian wants to use his insane reach to keep it at range or drag it to the ground. I think the home crowd energy helps Tafa. I'm leaning Junior Tafa by knockout or a grinding decision, but never count out the tall Brazilian. One mistake, and that reach turns into a nightmare. My pick, Junior Tafa. All right, wrapping up the prelims at middleweight, we've got Australia's own Cam Battle Giraffe, Roaston facing Poland's Robert Bryczek right here in Perth. Roaston is 31, 6 feet 3 inches tall, trains out of City Kickboxing, and he's been on fire. He's 14-3 overall with a 2-0 UFC record and a 6-fight win streak, including back-to-back stoppages. The dude's got serious power, slick striking, and finishing ability. Bryczek is 35, a tough Polish veteran with 18-6 record and heavy knockout power of his own. He bounced back with a nice stoppage win over Brad Tavares last year, but he still has that one loss in his UFC debut. This is a striker's fight between two guys who like to throw hands. Roaston brings the height, reach, and home crowd energy, while Bryczek brings experience and one-punch KO threat. I think the Battle Giraffe uses his size and momentum to keep the pressure on and gets it done. My pick, Cam Roaston by TKO or decision. Okay, next. Australia's favorite wild man, Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa, is stepping into the octagon against short notice replacement Louis Vanilla Gorilla Sutherland. Tai is 33 years old, 6 feet 2 inches, 265 pounds of pure Australian chaos. The dude is a walking highlight reel. 13 of his 14 career wins are by knockout, and he loves to swing for the fences. But let's keep it real. Bam Bam is in some serious trouble right now. He's on a brutal 6-fight losing streak, and the last few have been rough. This is basically a must-win fight on home soil if he wants to stay in the UFC. Coming in on just 8 days' notice is the 32-year-old Brit, Louis Sutherland. At 6 feet 3 inches with a 76-inch reach, this Vanilla Gorilla is a big, powerful striker. He's 10-5 overall with 8 knockouts, but he's 0-2 in the UFC after getting finished in the first round in both of his appearances. He just fought a month ago at UFC London, so the question is, how much gas does he have left in the tank after flying halfway across the world? This one is straight up violence. Two heavy-handed knockout artists who don't like going the distance. Tuivasa brings the hometown crowd energy, that crazy swagger, and the shoey celebration if he gets. The W Sutherland is coming in with nothing to lose, fresh off a loss, and looking to make a statement by knocking off a former fan favorite. I think the Perth crowd is going to be absolutely electric and give Bam Bam that extra fire. I'm rolling with Tai Tuivasa to finally snap that ugly streak, probably by a nasty first or second round knockout. But heavyweights are wild. One clean shot from the Vanilla Gorilla, and this place could explode for all the wrong reasons. But my pick, Tai Tuivasa, maybe it will be a mistake.
Next up at heavyweight, we've got a serious scrap between Brando Pericic and Shamil Gaziev right here in Perth. Gaziev, a powerful wrestler with heavy hands and nasty ground and pound. He's looked like a future contender in his last couple of UFC fights. Pericic with serious knockout power. He's a big athletic striker who can crack, but he's stepping up in competition big time here. This is a clash of styles. Gaziev wants to close the distance, take it down, and beat you up on the ground. Pericic wants to keep it standing and hunt for that one-shot KO. I'm leaning towards Shamil Gaziev. His wrestling, pace, and finishing ability should be too much for Pericic on short notice. Expect Gaziev to control the fight and get it done by decision or late TKO. Perth crowd might be split, but I think the Russian wrecking machine takes this one. My pick, Shamil Gaziev. Up next in flyweight veteran wildcard, Tim the Terror Elliott versus local favorite Steve Astro Boy Erceg. Tim Elliott is 39 years old, a crafty southpaw with endless energy, weird movement, and elite wrestling. The dude's been in the UFC forever, loves scrambles, and can pull off submissions out of nowhere. But at 39, father time is knocking. Steve Erceg is 30, fighting right in front of his hometown Perth crowd. He has sharp striking, good submissions, and solid all-around skills. He's coming off a tough win, but looks like the fresher, more complete fighter here. This should be a high-paced technical scrap. Elliott will try to make it ugly with takedowns and chaos, while Erceg wants to keep it clean, use his boxing, and stuff the wrestling. I think the home advantage and youth give Erceg the edge. I'm rolling with Steve Erceg by decision in a competitive fight. My pick, Steve Erceg, co-main event time at lightweight. Veteran vet Beneil Dariush takes on Australia's rising star Quillan Salkeld right here in Perth. Dariush is 36 years old, a crafty southpaw with nasty submissions and solid hands. He's a long-time top 15 guy with killer experience, but he's been on a rough skid lately, and father time is showing up. Salkeld is just 26, 6 feet 0 inches, with a 75-inch reach, 11-1 overall, and 4-0 in the UFC. The kid's got power, sharp striking, and finishing ability. He's been steamrolling guys, and the hometown crowd is going to be roaring for him. This is experience versus youth. Dariush wants to use his IQ, mix in takedowns, and make it ugly with submissions. Salkeld wants to keep it standing, use his size and volume to outwork the veteran. I think the young gun's speed, reach, and home advantage are too much here. I'm rolling with Quillen Salkeld by TKO. Perth is about to get loud as hell for their guy.
Main event time in Perth, folks. We've got a serious strikers war as local hero Jack Della Maddalena collides with the Brazilian finisher Carlos, the Nightmare Prates. Jack is 29, fighting in front of his crazy Australian fans with an 18-3 record. He's tough, well-rounded, and always brings the pressure. But tonight, this one looks like it's staying on the feet. Prates is 32, 6 feet 1 inch, with a long 78-inch reach, and this dude is on an absolute tear. He's 23-7 with 18 knockouts and has finished his last 6 UFC opponents in brutal fashion and carrying serious momentum. I don't see much wrestling in this one. Jack isn't the type to force takedowns against elite strikers, and Prates has shown he can stuff shots and keep fights standing where he does his best damage. Expect a high-level kickboxing battle with both guys letting the hands and legs fly. Style-wise, Prates has the clear advantages: longer reach, sharper striking, better power, and way more finishing threat. He's been looking like one of the scariest welterweights in the division. I'm riding with the Nightmare here. Carlos Prates is my pick to win, and I expect him to get it done by vicious knockout sometime. The Brazilian is hitting too hard and too clean right now. Perth crowd is going to be loud for Jack, but I think Prates spoils the party tonight. You know, I actually think the hometown crowd might hurt Jack Della Maddalena tonight. He's going to come out swinging, pressing forward like the hometown hero, trying to put on a show. That extra aggression and risk-taking could be exactly what Prates needs to counter and catch him clean. My pick, Carlos Prates, TKO or KO. All right, that's the full breakdown. Now it's your turn. Drop your picks in the comments. Who you got, what parlays you running, and where you think I'm tripping. I read everything. If you rocked with the breakdown, hit that like button. It really helps push the channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next card, because we stay locked in every fight week. Let's cash these picks. I'll see you after the fights.